right, so now, all right. First off, the ideals, okay, the ideals that the United States follows is, all right, what is individual liberty?
Rights given to the people that government couldn't take away.
Okay, rights given to people that government cannot take away, all right? Now, what is common law? What is common law?
Based on past decisions.
Okay, based on past decisions of judges, they will actually be used as what?
Presidents related trials.
Okay, good. They will be used as precedents for later trials. Okay? Now, the Constitution, first off, is based on what? Okay, but how do we ensure that we have a representative government? That was one of the questions earlier. As what, though?
Have been extended to very first time.
Okay, good. That has been extended to various groups by amendments. All right?
What was the question on that? Like, how do you
How do we ensure that we have a representative government? All right, and that's because popular sovereignty has been extended by various amendments, okay? And I'm going to try to look at it, okay? Now, was separate, what did I just explained that. No, you're not going to get 2 days worth of the test. Okay, you get a pass. Okay, now, with the separation of power, okay, with the separation of power, which means basically a divided government, I'm going to erase this so I can go on to the next part. Okay, everybody got it? With the separation of power, all right, how do we make sure there is a separation of power? No.
The three different.
Yeah, the first 3 articles, okay? The first 3 articles of the Constitution. Remember, the first 3 articles of the Constitution sets up what? Yep, sets up what? Executive, legislative, and judicial. All right? These 3 branches then,
With no checks and balances.
yeah, these 3 branches set up a system of checks and balances. What is a check?
Limitations on power.
Okay, it's a limitation on powers. Remember I said the easiest way to remember that, at least for me, is in hockey. When they go to check somebody, they do what?
Hit him against the wall.
They put them against the wall, keep from doing something, right? Same thing, okay? A check, basically, you're keeping it from doing something. All right? The other one, balance, you're doing what? You're equalizing power. Okay? What is federalism?
Government is power divided by constitution.
Okay? It's a government that's divided, that has divided power. Okay? Usually done by a constitution. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and some of you have asked about this stuff, on the test, if you see like the federal government, that will also mean national government, okay? So if it says federal, unless it comes and says what is the definition of a federal government, that would be power divided. But if it says federal government has the power of, you know, whatever, that would mean national. Now, what does the supremacy clause set up? No, what does the supremacy clause set up? Okay, good. That the Constitution is the supreme law. And because the Constitution is the supreme law, it can do what? It can overturn state and federal laws. Okay, what set up the Constitution as this? No.
Very versatile.
Marbury v. Madison, okay? All right, the court case that set that up was Marbury v. Madison. Okay? Everybody got this? Okay, now, powers given to the national government, okay, powers given to the national government are called what? Delegate. Another word for delegated is that means that they're what? No?
Given.
But it means they're stated, okay? If I delegate you to do something, okay, I'm telling you to do it, okay? So delegated means that I'm telling you something. So these are powers that are listed, okay? Powers given to the states are called what? Reserve powers. Reserved means they're set aside. It's just like, you know, think about it. If you set reservations for a restaurant, they're saving it for you, right? Same thing here. They've saved these powers for the states. All right? Powers that are shared by both are called concurrent powers. Think of a little bit of math. Concurrent lines do what? They run parallel to each other. Same thing. Okay? Powers that are denied are called what? Prohibited powers. Which means who has them? No one. Why you guys in trouble with that one? Okay? Implied powers are given to who? The federal government. And what gives the federal government implied powers? Well, no, just what's the whole clause called? The elastic clause, okay? I'm not going to be mean enough to make you remember Article 1, Section 8. Okay? Just know that the elastic clause gives the national government or federal government implied powers. And the easiest way to remember that is what do you do with elastic?
Stretch it.
You stretch it out, or Santa Claus in spandex. Okay? Everybody got it? Okay, now, two types of changes to the Constitution are, okay, two types of changes are formal and informal, okay? What sets up formal changes to the Constitution? Okay, Article 5. All right? Now, the most common way to make a proposal is what? Of who? Both houses, okay, of Congress, okay? 2/3 vote of both houses of Congress. Okay? Passage is called what? Okay, ratification. What is the most common way to ratify? Okay, 3/4 vote of the state legislature. Now, again, like I keep hammering on you, be careful. You're going to get these mixed up. 2/3 is always what? Proposal. 3/4 is always what? Ratification. Make sure you make that distinction. Okay, proposal's 2/3, ratification's 3/4. All right. What's the question though that has arisen over the passage of amendments? Okay, if a state can take back their approval, and is there a time limit? Okay, is there a time limit to it? No, I'm serious, be careful of proposals and ratifications. I've seen kids mess up with that too much. Okay? Everybody got it? Now, an informal change, the reason they can make an informal change to the Constitution is because the Constitution is what? Good. It's fundamental law. In other words, it provides a background. So it provides a background for what type of laws? All right, statutory laws, which are detailed rules, okay? And again, just like I told you, if somebody teaches you the fundamentals, they teach you the what? The basics. Statutory, the easiest way for me to remember that is statute. A statute is rigid and in details. There's no flexibility to it, is there? Okay? There's no flexibility in a statutory law. Okay?
So fundamentals, basics, and statutory.
Yeah. Fundamentals are basic, statutory is detail, okay? Now, with the legislative, okay, Congress can pass what? They can pass statutory laws based on this. Executive, they can make a change by doing what? The biggest one would be, no, not the War Powers Act. That has nothing to do with the Constitution. He's the what? This limited his War Powers Act, this rule. Commander-in-Chief, okay? War Powers Act was just a deal that was passed during the 70s, okay? And judicial is through the, what? How do they make an informal change? Interpretation of the Constitution. The two types of interpretations are strict or loose. Okay, strict or loose. Okay? It's good you know the War Powers Act.
Do we need to know?
No.
Can you explain all that again?
What?
Okay, so all three branches can make changes to laws because of the informal change.
Yes.
And, like,
Well, a good example of, let's say, the legislative making an informal change, what's the big one that just came out? And actually, there's now a I think it's next month. There is a court hearing about whether they can do it or not. What's the big change they did that passed a lot of legislative? It's been in the news quite a bit. People are very controversial about it. No, not gay marriage. No. Think health. Obamacare, okay? With Obamacare, yeah, there's a big change. What's happening is, I think it's next month, the court has agreed to hear whether Obamacare, especially that clause in there about businesses offering health insurance for contraceptives and stuff, if that has to be allowed, or is that a restriction on freedom of religion? Hobby Lobby has basically sued because they do not believe in birth control. The owners don't. Okay, and so that's the case where they're coming in and saying that executive. This would be like when the president, like during the civil rights era, when the president sent troops to like Little Rock, Arkansas, and stuff like that to enforce desegregation. No, and then basically these guys, the Supreme Court, every time they hear a case, they're interpreting the Constitution. But that's why it's a big deal about who the justices are, because how are they going to interpret the Constitution? And so there's a lot of people that are trying to guess, okay, this justice is going to rule this way. No, this justice might rule that way. And so that's always a big deal, too. Okay? All right. Constitution itself. All right, this is what I'm going to do, okay? The preamble, basically, remember, is an introduction to what the Constitution hopes to do. Okay? Now, in Article 1, okay, you need to know that Article 1 is legislative. Again, make sure you make the distinction. I've seen kids get those mixed up, okay? I am not going to expect you to remember the sections. That's too cruel. The only reason we did the sections in the notes was to show you how power is divided up even within Article 1. Okay? So, you have the House, 2-year terms for representatives. Okay? 7-year residency, power of impeachment, which is fine grounds for dismissal. You don't have to remember it's Section 2. Oh, and also, no to bicameral. Okay? The Senate, 6-year terms for senators, staggered. The entrenched clause, 2 members per state. Senate is in charge of conviction. And just be on the safe side, Vice President, President of the Senate. Huh? Conviction right here. Senate's in charge of conviction. The House finds the grounds for it. The Senate is the one that convicts. Okay. The House would do the investigating. And then the Senate takes whatever the House finds and determines whether he's guilty or not.
Oh yeah, so it's in entrenched clause and 2 members per state.
Yeah, 2 members in the state. Remember, if you entrench something, it's what? It's dug in, okay? That is the only way a state can lose their senators is if that state voluntarily gives up one. If you think about it, what state's going to do that? No. They'd have no choice here under the number of reps. You're going to give up one. The only catch is each state is guaranteed at least 1 representative. They're saying maybe, let's see, in 6 years it is possible Nebraska could lose 1 of their 3 reps. We may just have 2 representatives for the state instead of 3, depending on population shift. It's already moved. We're now in a different representative district than we were before. We used to be out in the 3rd district. Now I think we're in the 2nd. So it has shifted. Okay. All right. So, we already have the elastic clause. Okay. They cannot take away a writ of habeas corpus. Forbids ex post facto. No bill of attainder. Okay. States can't declare war. States can't declare war. Or coin money. Now, it doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to be all under Article 1, because you guys know Article 1's probably going to have to be in a what?
Short answer.
An essay. Okay? But it may mean, too, that it's going to be in other places in tests, some of this stuff, okay? Main thing in that, on the essay and stuff would be the House and the Senate. Those are going to be the main things. Okay? Everybody got it? All right. C. Article 2, Executive. Okay. Article 2, Executive branch. 4-year term, natural born citizen, electoral college, commander-in-chief. Excuse me. Article 3, Judicial. Okay. Establish the Supreme Court. You have a jurisdiction. Excuse me, an original appellate. Okay. They can hear a case for the first time, or they can hear it on appeal. Very, very, very rare they ever hear a case for the first time. Usually let the lower courts do it. Okay. Article 4, Relation among states. Full faith and credit, respect each other's laws. Entitled to all privileges. Anybody have it? Okay, extradition. Now, obviously, we've done 5, right? So we don't need to highlight 5, but you already have that under formal changes. Okay? Article 6, the main thing there would be the supremacy clause. We're not going to worry about 7. Okay? We're not going to worry at all about 7.
Wait. We didn't know the article.
Supremacy clause. That's the miscellaneous one. And you already know Article 5 because of the formal changes that we did earlier.
What was that one?
That was under formal changes. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, everybody got it? Okay, amendments. Whoops. There we go. All right, so, under amendments, first. Okay? Second, right to keep bear arms.
Time out. So you're just going to highlight the First Amendment?
No, the First Amendment, yeah.
Like all of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You don't, with the First Amendment, Bailey, and that's a good point. The First Amendment, yeah, the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, right to assembly, freedom of the press, that establishment clause, free exercise clause, and all that stuff, don't worry so much about that. Okay? It's basically what rights are listed. And some of those are pretty self-explanatory too, especially in the first.
Where do you say right to
Right to assembly, right here. Okay? Okay. The Fourth Amendment, no third. And here again, I'll put in a disclaimer, I'm not going to guarantee it. I haven't looked at the test in a year. Okay?
Okay, but you don't think
I don't think it's third. Huh?
I don't.
Because I don't want somebody coming and saying I'm giving you answers. Well,
You're allowed to study material.
that's what I'm doing, okay? So, fifth. Main thing with the fifth would be, yeah, double jeopardy, cannot be forced to give evidence, due process of law, and kind of know what eminent domain is. Do I expect you to remember every single one of them? No. You're going to have to give me at least 2.
Where did we get like all of these?
The pettit jury was one I was explaining. It was kind of a sad or a side deal. Don't worry about that. Okay. That's just where I was kind of explaining what a grand jury was. Okay. Some of that stuff is kind of a side deal. Okay. Sixth, Well, here again, I know at least two for each one of these we're doing. And be careful too, because I even do it. Be careful of the 5th and the 6th, because it's easy to get those two mixed up. Okay? So be careful of the 5th and the 6th, because I even do it sometimes before I get them mixed up. Everybody got it? Okay. With the 7th, okay, with the 7th, know that the 7th is a very good example of what type of change? Informal change, okay? All right, know that the 7th is a good example of informal change. With the 8th, whoops, sorry. All right, with the 8th, right to bail and what's the most controversial one? No cruel or unusual punishment, okay? Okay, 9th is what? To the people, okay? 9th is rights to the people. 10th is what? Powers given to the states. Okay, be careful of those two.
Maybe can we say it like that on the test?
Yeah, I said that. Okay, 10th Amendment, power to the state, powers not listed to the states. Okay, 9th Amendment, rights not listed given to the people. Okay, that's the easiest way. And that's why I kind of made you write it there in the margins and stuff. Because like I said, I've seen people really mess those up. All right? Everybody got it? All right, so 13, abolish slavery. Nope. Okay. 13, abolish slavery. 14th, applies Bill of Rights to the states. Ouch. Okay. 15th, right of vote and vote according to race. 16th, income tax. 17th, direct election of senators. On the 18th, the only thing you have to remember about the 18th is it's the one amendment. Prohibition, okay? So on the 18th, the only thing you have to remember is it's prohibition. Okay? Just know it's prohibition. Okay? That's it. Because I don't expect you to remember all of this. Yeah. I don't expect you to remember all. No, no manufacture, sale, transportation, all that stuff. Okay. Just know the 18th prohibition. Okay?
Reasonable.
19th, women's right to vote. Okay? The 21st is the best example of a what? Formal change, right? The 21st is the best example of a formal change. Because it did what? Got rid of the 18th, okay? So 21st is the best example of a formal change. What's the truck? Well, 'cause, yeah, I'm shocking. Every time I touch this thing, I'm shocking myself. Everybody got it? Okay, let's see. 26, 18-year-olds right to vote. And 27th, prevents Congress from giving themselves pay raises midterm. Okay? 27th, prevents Congress from giving themselves pay raises midterm. some of those. Have we got it?